It started as a dream, two young lovers, a van, and the open road. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie set off on an adventure, documenting every mile of their journey. Smiling pictures, happy videos, and a perfect life, at least, that's what the world saw. But behind those Instagram filters was a different reality. A reality filled with tension, arguments, and fear. And then, one day, Gabby went silent. Brian returned home alone. No explanations, no answers. Just silence. Gabby's family grew desperate, the internet exploded with questions, and the nation watched as the case unfolded like a chilling mystery. What happened to Gabby Petito? Why did Brian refuse to speak? And how did a seemingly perfect love story turn into one of the most heartbreaking true crime cases in history? This is the story of Gabby Petito, a road trip that ended in tragedy. If you want to support my channel, make sure to subscribe and stay active, it really helps me out, I'd be super grateful for that. Let's get started. Gabby Petito was more than just a name in the headlines. She was a 22-year-old dreamer, an adventurer, and a young woman who believed in capturing the beauty of the world. Born on March 19, 1999, in Blue Point, New York, Gabby was full of life and passion. She loved traveling, creating content, and sharing her journey with the world. From a young age, Gabby was drawn to adventure. She had an infectious energy, a bright smile, and a desire to explore places far beyond her hometown. She documented her experiences through social media, sharing travel vlogs and photos that inspired many. Her Instagram and YouTube channel, Nomadic Static, were dedicated to van life, a lifestyle she had chosen with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. Together, they planned the perfect road trip, cross-country travel in their converted van, exploring national parks, and living freely on the open road. On the surface, Gabby and Brian appeared to be the perfect couple. They had been together for years, engaged to be married, and seemed to share a love for adventure. Their social media was filled with happy moments, campfires, breathtaking landscapes, and affectionate pictures. But social media often tells only part of the story. As their journey began in July 2021, they set off across the United States, visiting stunning locations like Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. Gabby's followers admired her wanderlust and the seemingly carefree spirit of her travels. However, what the world didn't see were the cracks beneath the surface, the arguments, the emotional distress, and the moments that would eventually turn this dream trip into a nightmare. On August 12, 2021, police in Moab, Utah, responded to a domestic dispute between Gabby and Brian. Bodycam footage showed a tearful Gabby, clearly distressed, while Brian appeared calm and composed. The police separated them for the night but determined that no serious crime had occurred. Gabby continued on the road with Brian, but something had changed. Then, suddenly, she stopped posting. No calls, no texts. She went silent. And when Brian returned home alone in early September, without Gabby, her family's worst fears began to unfold. Who was Gabby Petito? A free spirit, a passionate creator, and a young woman who had her entire life ahead of her until it was stolen. What happened to Gabby? That's the chilling story that gripped the world. Gabby Petito's final days were supposed to be filled with adventure, laughter, and the joy of exploring the great outdoors. Instead, they were filled with tension, fear, and, ultimately, tragedy. After their encounter with the police in Moab, Utah, on August 12, 2021, something shifted. The cracks in Gabby and Brian's relationship became impossible to ignore. While they continued their journey, those close to Gabby noticed a change. She was more distant, more anxious. Her once enthusiastic updates became less frequent, her social media posts carefully curated but lacking the spark they once had. Gabby last spoke with her mother, Nicole Schmidt, on August 25. They had a video call, and Gabby seemed okay, at least, that's what she wanted her family to believe. That same day, she posted a final Instagram photo, a smiling selfie from near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. It would be the last proof of life she left behind. After August 25, Gabby's phone went silent. No more FaceTime calls. No texts with updates on their road trip. Her family began to worry. Then, on August 30th, her mother received a strange text from Gabby's phone. No service in Yosemite. But something felt off. Gabby's mother wasn't convinced that the text was really from her daughter. Yosemite was nowhere near where she was supposed to be. And then, nothing. Days turned into a week, and Brian Laundrie returned home to Florida alone. No explanation. No call to Gabby's parents. Just silence. Gabby's van was parked in his parents' driveway, but she was nowhere to be found. When her family reached out to Brian and his family, they refused to answer. Panic set in. Gabby's family reported her missing on September 11th, launching a nationwide search. Social media exploded with theories, speculation, and desperate pleas for help. Where was Gabby? Why wasn't Brian speaking? Authorities quickly turned their attention to Brian. He had returned home on September 1st, 10 days before Gabby was officially reported missing. But he refused to talk to the police. Instead, his parents hired a lawyer, and within days, Brian disappeared. On September 19th, after weeks of searching, the heartbreaking discovery was made. Gabby's remains were found in a remote area near Grand Teton National Park. The coroner later confirmed what many feared: Gabby had been strangled to death. Her death was ruled a homicide. She had been murdered, left in the wilderness, abandoned like she never mattered. With Brian on the run and no answers, the country erupted in outrage. Protests, candlelight vigils, and social media campaigns demanding justice for Gabby spread like wildfire. The world watched as authorities hunted for Brian Laundrie, the only person who knew exactly what happened in Gabby's final moments. But the case would take another tragic turn. On October 20th, Brian's remains were found in a Florida nature reserve, along with a notebook that contained his confession. In his own words, he admitted to killing Gabby, claiming it was a mercy killing, an excuse that only added to the pain. Gabby Petito's last days were filled with fear and heartbreak. She should have had a lifetime ahead of her. Instead, her life was stolen by someone she trusted the most. The moment Gabby Petito was reported missing on September 11, 2021, a frantic search began, a race against time to find out what had happened to the 22-year-old travel blogger who had seemingly vanished without a trace. Gabby's parents, Nicole Schmidt and Joe Petito, had spent days trying to reach her. But their calls and messages went unanswered. The last time they had spoken to her was on August 25, and after that, silence. Then came the eerie text message on August 30, no service in Yosemite. Something didn't add up. Yosemite wasn't even on her route. Was Gabby really the one who sent that text? But what made things even more suspicious was that Brian Laundrie, Gabby's fiancé and travel partner, had already returned home to Florida alone. He had been back since September 1, nearly 2 weeks before Gabby was reported missing. And yet, he didn't report her missing. He didn't call her family. He didn't answer any of their messages. Gabby's family was desperate for answers, but Brian and his parents refused to speak. When the police knocked on their door, they handed over the contact information of their lawyer. That was it. No explanation. No concern. Nothing. As soon as the news of Gabby's disappearance broke, the internet exploded. True crime enthusiasts, online detectives, and social media users began analyzing every detail. People combed through Gabby's Instagram posts, her YouTube videos, and her last known locations. TikTok and Twitter became hubs for theories and potential clues. Some followers pointed out that Gabby's Instagram captions had changed in tone. Others noticed that her last couple of posts seemed off, almost as if someone else had written them. Then came the most shocking clue: a couple, Jen and Kyle Bethune, had been traveling through Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming when they unknowingly recorded Gabby's white van on their dashcam footage. The footage, which was later posted online, showed the van parked off a dirt road seemingly abandoned. No movement. No sign of life. This was the first major break in the case. It gave search teams a starting point. And soon, the investigation turned into a full-scale search operation in the remote wilderness of Wyoming. For days, authorities scoured the vast, rugged terrain near Grand Teton National Park. Helicopters flew overhead. Search teams hiked for miles, looking for any sign of Gabby. Then, on September 19, the search came to a tragic end. Gabby's remains were found in a secluded area of Bridger Teton National Forest, not far from where the Bethune family had spotted her van. She had been there for weeks, left alone in the wilderness. The autopsy later confirmed the worst: Gabby had been strangled to death. It was a brutal, intimate crime. A crime that pointed to only one person, Brian Laundrie. But Brian was nowhere to be found. And now, the search shifted from looking for Gabby to hunting down the man who had taken her life. The discovery of Gabby Petito's body on September 19, 2021, turned the missing person case into a homicide investigation. The world was watching, and all eyes were on one person, Brian Laundrie. But there was just one problem: he was gone. Brian had returned home to Florida on September 1 without Gabby, but he refused to talk to investigators. His parents, Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, remained tight-lipped, only communicating through their attorney. Then, on September 17, just days before Gabby's body was found, they dropped a bombshell: Brian was missing. According to them, he had left their home on September 14 for a hike in the Carlton Reserve, a vast, swampy nature preserve near Northport, Florida. But he never returned. Was he hiding? On the run? Or worse, had he taken his own life? The search for Brian Laundrie quickly became one of the most high-profile manhunts in recent history. The FBI, local law enforcement, and bounty hunters scoured the Carlton Reserve, believing he might be hiding in the dense, alligator-infested wilderness. But despite days of searching using helicopters, drones, and K-9 units, there was no sign of him. Meanwhile, the public was outraged. Brian had been home for 10 days before disappearing. Why hadn't the police kept an eye on him? Had his parents helped him escape? The internet was flooded with sightings. People claimed they had seen Brian in various locations on the Appalachian Trail, in Canada, even at a campsite in Florida. One witness, a man named Dennis Davis, was certain he had spoken to Brian near the Appalachian Trail, where he seemed out of his mind and desperate for directions. But despite the reports, no solid leads turned up. It was as if Brian Laundrie had vanished into thin air. Then, on October 20, 2021, over a month after Brian went missing, investigators found human remains in the Carlton Reserve near a notebook and a backpack belonging to him. A day later, forensic tests confirmed it: Brian Laundrie was dead. An autopsy later revealed that he had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Inside his recovered notebook, he had left behind a chilling confession admitting to killing Gabby. But the discovery of Brian's body only raised more questions. Did his parents help him evade authorities? Could Gabby's death have been prevented? One thing was clear: justice for Gabby would never fully be served. Brian Laundrie had taken the truth to his grave. Gabby Petito's case exposed shocking gaps in the system, gaps that many believe contributed to her tragic fate. Her story wasn't just about a young woman lost too soon, it became a brutal reminder of how domestic violence is often ignored until it's too late. One of the most haunting moments in Gabby's case was the Moab police stop on August 12, 2021. Bodycam footage showed a distressed Gabby, crying and admitting she had been in an argument with Brian. The police, however, labeled her as the primary aggressor, even though she showed clear signs of being in distress. Instead of recognizing the signs of domestic abuse, they separated the couple for the night and let Brian go free. Experts later pointed out that this was a crucial moment where intervention could have saved her life. But the system failed her, failing to recognize the power imbalance and the cycle of abuse that many victims experience. Gabby's case gained massive attention due to social media. True crime communities, TikTok users, and online sleuths dissected every detail, finding evidence and clues faster than the authorities. It was a digital manhunt, proving how powerful public awareness could be. But the question remains: did the system fail Gabby? Could more have been done to protect her? One thing is certain: her story won't be forgotten. The world watched, learned, and demanded change. But will that change come before another woman suffers the same fate? Gabby Petito's story is more than just a tragedy, it's a wake-up call. A call to recognize the warning signs of domestic violence, to demand better intervention from law enforcement, and to ensure that no more lives are lost to abuse and neglect. But the question is, what can we do? Educate yourself and others, learn the signs of domestic violence. It doesn't always look like bruises, it can be emotional control, isolation, or manipulation. Support victims. If you or someone you know is in an unsafe relationship, don't stay silent. There are resources available, and there are people who want to help. Gabby's family turned their grief into action by creating the Gabby Petito Foundation, helping victims of domestic violence. You can support their cause, share her story, and keep the conversation alive. Let's honor Gabby's legacy by ensuring that no one else suffers in silence. Like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Together, we can make a difference.